Okay, hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Bubble podcast, where we meet people creating really interesting experiences, managing communities, and changing the world at the same time. Today, we have a very special guest from New York City. Her name is Lexi Reynolds. She is the CEO and founder of Adapt Growth Agency. The backstory with how I met her. I'm the founder of Bubbl, by the way. We are the Co-Stay Experiences platform. The reason I met Lexi, I was at Winter Music Conference in Miami last year, and Lexi was down there. She was at a panel, and she was down at Winter Music Conference also working with some of her brands and artists. And we met, we hit it off, and we've been in touch ever since. And Lexi is, one of our partners, one of our signed agency partners. And it was fantastic to meet Lexi. She's full of energy. She's got incredible marketing prowess. She's got a really, really interesting background in history. She's run many really formidable events all over New York City. She's still doing that. And of course, she's leaning into experiential brand marketing and activations. And so it's really a great pleasure to have you today on the show, Lexi.
Thank you, Hayley. It's hard to follow that up. I'm delighted to be here, guys, and to also speak to brands about Bubbl, and reverse to Bubbl about brands, because I think now could not be better timing for what you guys are doing.
So, Lexi, let's first start off. I'd like to really tell people's background. I think what's fascinating about being a CEO in what I do now versus like my corporate America life is like I love to meet the people who are building the communities and building, brands, anyone building anything basically, especially creators. But I also love to hear like what got them to where they are, because and I think everyone loves to hear that. Like, what's your story? So, really love to learn a bit about you, your background, your personal, your professional background, your path, basically, and what brought you to where you are here today. And that's obviously a very open question.
Well, that is a broad question. About 30 years ago, no, I'm just kidding. I
Mm.
think in terms of Bubbl, I think I saw a lot of things that made sense to me,
No, no,
not
no, no,
only
no, not Bubbl. I Tell me about you, your
just
background,
me.
your personal
Okay.
background. Absolutely, yes, yes.
Well, if you would have asked me like not even 10, but 20 years ago, I wanted to be the first woman president, and I loved politics. And I'm really grateful for that, because there is no better sales experience than going up to
Hmm.
somebody's front door and asking them who they will vote for. So I did that pretty much before I could drive for like the first 4 years of all of my first jobs, where I think of
Wow.
it as that sales experience. Yeah, it gave you a lot
Yeah.
of gusto. I'm not sure it'd even be
Mm.
like able to do, but that core community grassroots initiative, I think, is
Yes.
reflective in a lot of what has made me successful in marketing, and a lot of what brands have almost lost sight of and trying to be like the next big thing, right? Um, so
Mm.
I got very lucky when I decided to do marketing. We were not in the totally competitive, expensive e-commerce landscape that we are now.
Yep.
It was a happy accident. I had a drop shipping business. I had read about it through a Kiyosaki newsletter. I'm in college at the time, and I would do affiliate marketing and all these little side hustles.
Love that.
But
The side
yeah,
hustle is real. The side hustle is legit,
it
especially
is
nowadays.
real.
More
And
people doing more side hustles. Yes.
exactly. And I mean, this was 10 years ago. So it was very fun. But I think it was the thing that made me realize, okay, I don't need to go to law school and keep going to school to make money. And I basically partnered with a company that gave coupons to everyone at the school. And then I started email marketing everyone at the school. Facebook ads were very cheap. Long
Hmm.
story short, by like the end of my second month, I had done $8,000, which at the time, this is like
Wow.
2015, I thought I
So,
was rich. I was
so
like
what's
20 years
so
old. I thought I was rich.
you were selling to brands to offer coupons to students? Is that right?
I was selling my brand. So I built an online store, but then I learned how to
Okay.
market.
Oh, and
And I got
what were you selling? What things were you selling?
It was called Like a Pro Photo, and I sold action camera accessories because I
Oh,
love to
wow.
travel.
Like
I thought it was
GoPro camera accessories?
yes, exactly.
God, I've got a few in my
Um,
house here.
yeah, I did too. I mean, I've some lost, some broken, but yeah, a few that used to put on the helmet, right?
Yep.
Some good footage too. So I got kind of lucky, and then the next brand I worked with had a huge budget, a very traditional team. It was a parent company of HNI, yeah, HNI Corp. Um, and they were doing a spinoff office manufacturer that would connect small businesses and entrepreneurs, looking at like 1 to 8 with office setups. So we got to build the quiz, that matching process, right? It was like what
Right.
I would call like a baby marketplace because it had a lot of funding behind it. It was not a typical marketplace, but that online journey was very new at the time. Even like having a quiz was super new at the time, right? It was like
Right.
the wild west of e-commerce. I mean, I started a few years after, but like one of my mentors, when you first started selling things online, you didn't even pay sales tax, right? So we're talking like a different
Wow.
era almost of
Yeah.
e-commerce. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. Wow.
Amazon was different too. So yeah, then I started traveling. That allowed me to do that, consulting, worked with some really big brands along the way, like AWS, doing conferences. We did one of the first in-person events in San Diego after COVID, which was
Wow.
really cool to bring people together. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a gorgeous venue. And really touching base on like some in-person experiences, but I'd always wanted to work remote to travel, right? And after COVID, I was able to start marrying the two because in COVID, I did several tech accelerators. I started another deep tech startup. I was part of all of these communities that it was really hard to connect the bridge to feeling like, oh, I actually know this person, right? Like handful of friends, true, but like outside of digital communication, it's been hard to actually see them in person and get to know, like, I don't know, what kind of food do they actually like, right? Because we're not in that setting together.
Mm.
And that's when I started to realize that events were really a great opportunity and I could combine my skill sets to do something I love. So personally, I love music. It's like my first
Oh,
greatest love
that's
of
right.
life. Yeah,
You
I
play piano very
loved.
well.
Yes. And I composed music since I was a kid. And it's always been something that I think a
That's
lot of
amazing.
people who, yeah, I think people who are creative feel almost like, oh, but I can't. So for me to throw events, it was a great way for me to like use that passion. And it started just like, hey, let's run a warehouse in Brooklyn. And we did a
Oh,
summer
wow.
series. Yeah, it was
Wow.
actually a pretty decent event. We got like 800 people there that summer. We made our money
Wow.
back, which is huge.
Was
And
that
then
last summer? When was that?
that was 2023.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
last summer I did a full venue takeover and I got to bring on the sponsors. There was a premium drink brand, SoundCloud, which for a no name event is kind of a big deal. Also working with the artist, also realizing just how like difficult putting together a large scale event is like that to the point where, oh my God, I don't know if I want a wedding. Like it was so like I was so focused on making it be perfect. I was not even present until afterwards. I was like, wow, that was great.
But
Right?
it
It was
obviously
a
went really, really well. So this is after the warehouse one. You said a takeover. What does that mean? Like, sorry, what do you mean by that?
um technically the takeover is the whole venue. So
Yes,
before we were
yes.
doing a piecemeal or we would run out
Mhm.
part of the night or get a floor. I did a full venue takeover 2 summers ago at the very end of that series, but the venue was not as huge. This is elsewhere, like world class venue. Production was involved, just a lot more moving
Right.
pieces.
Yeah.
And you have to get
Yeah.
people there, right? And you have to get the artist to
Yes.
promote. And
Yeah.
we're in New York, which is like the epicenter of music, but also
Yeah.
competition. So economics
Yeah.
were,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So I
Um,
mean, running events is real, and these were probably local events, were they? And
they
all
are, but
these
I do
local
think that
events.
there's a piece of like being location agnostic that both I think is beautiful, but also bothers me because I love being in New York, but my life is set up to be anywhere, right? And so many people I think feel torn. Any given point when I'm here, I have a friend in Europe or out of town, and vice versa. And I think a lot of brands too, like they want that audience, but like, can they catch this New Yorker who's gone 3.5 weeks of the summer at these events, right? Or at a wedding season.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, that's something where
is
it's
it wedding
like,
season?
how are you really targeting your demographic at that point? We did combine our outreach with several influencer marketing agencies as well as all of the artist posts. I also worked with, I think it was EDC Radio, and they helped push some press for us, which was
Mm,
really great. We've had some partners in that space. But honestly, word of mouth
mm.
is the best thing you can do for
Mm.
those events to
So
actually get people there.
that's amazing. So when we met by chance, and I told you
Yes.
what Bubbl did. What interested you to kind of like what drew you to like what we were doing in terms of how what you do?
Mhm. I think I've worked with a lot of influencer agencies. adjacent agencies, members groups. And it's really rare that you can get a good community to connect with technology. It's like there's these beautiful communities. They have like an old school newsletter or maybe like a text message change or WhatsApp group, right? But you actually really like the people there versus the very organized ones sometimes feel very robotic. And it's like, you know what I mean? So I think that there was an element
Yeah.
of this is a real community. People are here already for Ultra, and it solved a challenge for me, which is not only
Yeah.
do I want to filter who I have to meet, but housing is so expensive in Miami when I'm there for this
Yes.
one reason, right? Miami, New York, I think
Yes.
as we have more accessibility to events and these experiences that, oh my gosh, I can
Yes.
go. It's like, wow, now I'm old enough I can afford to go. I have the experience, but can I afford to stay and actually meet other people and get what I need to out of that experience? Or am I going to be commuting 2 hours and up at 4 a.m. and having to leave drinks early? Like all these small intricacies
Or
that I
like
think
if you're
really
staying for
add up. Yes, like the location is a huge
yes,
thing as
I think
well.
so. I was going to
Location, who you're
say
with.
one of the big reasons. Like,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. No, I was going
Location,
to
who you're
say
with.
that,
Yeah.
that's fitting. Yeah, well, I mean, it's
Again.
fitting with people. The number one reason they say they want to join a bubble is to meet people that they want to know, and the second reason they say is to get to stay in a closer place, a better place that, i.e., is closer.
Yeah.
Because the Uber hell is real. Really, really cool.
Well,
And so, what? Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say even if you are far, if you're with the right people, then you can share the Uber. Like even going to and fro is
That's right.
different. So yeah, that's my final point.
Mm. Yes, it's not just about sharing the experience, it's sharing the cost and everything. So we talked about, like, when I met you, I was like, we're kind of really interested in, because you talked about working with creators, or having worked with some of the creators. Tell me how you think, like, so you run an agency now, and you are working with brands around events. So you're also running your own events. You talked about that, and maybe we talk about, say, Coachella. I mean, Coachella is obviously kind of an obvious one, but South by, and even we talked about Art Basel. Tell us about why you signed with Bubbl and what you think we could maybe do. Like, tell me about Art Basel and the kind of events and ways that you think we could work with creators, or especially through your agency. Like
Okay,
how
so
we
there's
can
a,
help them.
there's a
That's what I meant.
few things that I think are interesting at this like influx point. Like we're in AI, right? So like all of a sudden it is like content world. If you want to target whoever with AI, you can probably do that for relatively cheap. What I think is the real question is it effective? And as consumers, what I'm seeing on the other side is people are now trained to ignore the filters, the
Yes.
beautiful videos, right? Like
Yep.
this fake experience is not resonating. So building a brand has gotten even harder. Whether you're a small business that like you need to actually grow your brand because now you're competing against ad dollars
Yep.
and there has to be a limit there, right? Like
Yep.
ROAS aside, there are crazy budgets on the ad side. Not even
Yep.
events, even B2B marketing, lead gen can be like $150 a click. So at this point, it's almost set up for the small guy to lose unless you're really creative. On the other hand, there's a huge push away from like being corporate and like, I don't know, Dior and these big fashion and fast fashion brands, right? A lot in luxury that we've seen where people
Yeah.
actually identify
Yep.
more, oh, I want to buy local. And how can you connect as a large brand locally? That's why I think the events do a lot because it's now like an actual segment. People are there for Art Basel. They're there to connect, but also to create. So you go in already as a brand like, okay, this is a hotter selling point. But again, like all good things, it's getting commoditized. All of a sudden now, being a brand that cares about
Yes.
culture is like, okay, what does that actually mean? You know, yeah, what does that actually mean? Like,
Tell me
how do
about
you
that.
participate?
Tell me about Yeah, tell me about how your brands think, like, until before Bubble came along. Not that it's only about Bubble, but like, tell me about how they can build culture, or how they perhaps should be building culture. Like, so I've
Well,
always been fascinated by influencers. Because well, I
Yes,
was saying influencers because I haven't ever been influenced by influencers. Is my point. I'm not influenceable by influencers. I am more influenced by the real person who actually does not have a following, who puts a rating or a review on a website because they're not being paid. I mean, ultimately,
totally.
I think influencers are the ones being paid. So I'm just curious, how are brands like? How is the influencer industry? Do you think evolving right now? Like, yeah.
Oh wow, I think it's evolving on both sides because creators now know that like the dollars are drying up for just pure placement. But if they don't have a community around them or like a real niche, just being like
And why is that?
LA hot girl,
Why is that? Do you think?
I think it's because it was around a shallow
Why are the
metric.
dollars
Like
drying up?
at one point, you used to be able to say, okay, if I have this many impressions alone, just on awareness, I'll be able to retarget everyone. It was still cost effective. Now everything has gotten more expensive, especially as you have more content to test. Like, yeah, it's great that you can make 100 ad sets in a
Interesting.
day, but what are you actually measuring? And I think a lot of people are lost in that. A lot of people are lost when it comes to growing their stores. So I worked with brands who get to like an influx point where they're on Amazon, they sell direct, maybe they even do some retail, but it's like, okay, well, where do we actually
Mm-hmm.
focus for being profitable? And being in big box stores can actually
Mm.
sometimes be the totally opposite move for a brand, right? Like that might be great, but the term wise, you might have to fundraise. Like there's a lot there. Um, I think that actually having engagement, one, it's a lot easier for you to get content. If you're at the local farmers market, that can be way more successful than setting up like an elaborate photo shoot, right? And I had a brand that was going to
So,
pop ups. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
They were going to pop ups and
Well,
looking to
no. So
expand.
mhm.
Yeah.
So your point is, I think I'm hearing what you're saying. So your point is, rather than going and doing a photo shoot somewhere that's very staged, when they went to a farmer's market, this is what I'm interpreting, and they got perhaps real buyer interaction, and they got
Yes.
content around that, like someone say sipping the drink and going, "Oh, this actually tastes really nice." You're saying that might have been a little bit more authentic, and is that what you're sort of saying? Like they were
Yeah,
looking
it's
for that
more
authentic
authentic
touch
for the
point or element.
brand. And it's also better for
Mm,
engagement. When you participate with users like that, they have an actual memory with you, right? It's not just like
right.
that somebody
Right.
experiencing your brand
Yep.
in passing right now from that staged environment is going to be a lot less valuable than what you consider maybe a lower bar
Mm,
consumer who has a real life participation. The odds that
mm.
they'll buy your product, it's I want to say 250%
Yes.
at least more. There's like a startling
Mm.
statistic around that. That's why people do
So,
product placement and go to the stores, right? And do testing and
right.
samples. It's so now you have real life
Mm.
experience with the product, and also then you
Yes.
still get the all of everyone walking past your product, they still see that you're sampling it. They
Mm.
still hear, like to me, that is almost more effective, especially for
Mm.
smaller brands. Um,
Right.
larger brands are having
So,
these cultural moments as well, where they can combine whether it's music or art. A lot of people, I don't think, know how to use it properly. Like Gucci Vault, the most famous example that I can think of when like luxury really started to be like, okay, here's how we can actually be embedded within values rather than, oh, we're a cool brand, because they recognize that influencers trends were not lasting value. And those brands are publicly traded. They can afford to be a trend.
so, I think what I'm hearing, like, so if you look at the old-fashioned funnel, it's very wide and it goes very narrow, very small. I mean, we've talked about this at Bubble actually with our people, but like what I'm hearing you say is sometimes it's okay for the funnel to be a lot smaller, but you can still get the same result, which I think is where you're saying that by having it more in person and real and experiential, smaller funnel, not that big broad funnel from that big influencer posting that content, but smaller funnel, and a better outcome, which I do believe is kind of the mission at Bubble with how we think we could interact with brands. I think what we are learning from what we're doing with brands is that they can have both. Actually, they could have the influencer with the big reach, but have that influencer at the farmers market. You know what I mean? Like, to use that
Yeah.
analogy, or in the farm in the Bubbl Village, leading a village or being part of a village, with authentic customers, and have those interactions and have that kind of reality. I mean, whether your influencer is an ambassador, a brand ambassador, or whether there's someone that is like just a paid sort of influencer, you can make it a hybrid approach, so you can use those big ticket influencers, but make their content creation like more authentically intertwined with how a consumer would experience their brand. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Absolutely. I mean, you can start with a bigger funnel, but like it's now gone from 7 to 12 to 50 touches. And at $150 a click, it's not, it comes down to economics, right? You pay an influencer $2 million, even if
Mm,
X amount of people see it, if it only converts one of them, that because they don't follow that influencer,
mm,
they don't take influencers seriously anymore as a consumer trend.
right,
Um, yeah, how do
right.
you marry the two, right? So I'm
Mm.
curious.
And
So
is
we've
it,
talked a lot about me. I really
mm,
would do want to host a bubble too.
mm,
I'm in New York, everyone.
mm,
Plenty of opportunities here. I know that
mm.
she might have something brewing later this summer. But I can say that anytime
Yes.
somebody comes in town, it's
Yeah.
like, wait, is there a couch? Is there a bed? I'm like, okay, I think my couch should be fine. Let me check with my roommates. But it's very much that culture here, and like that's I've had the best times
Mm.
with people staying with me and staying with
So,
people.
interestingly, so we're doing a feat for like, so I think it's very interesting, and I just want to finish before we kind of go to the other topic. I'm very interested in what we're going to plan to do with you and your agency for Art Basel and South by Bubbl. Just for everyone's learning, we're launching our Bubbl Village software. So it's going to be software that designs around a village concept, loosely based on Burning Man and my experiences like running heliski trips. It's all founder sort of experiences. But Burning Man taught me a lot about theme camps and curation and community, real community. And we're going to be doing some stuff with Lexi over Art Basel, approaching some of these, working with some of these brands, whether they be crypto fintech brands or whether they be kind of new emerging brands in the consumer or fashion space or even the art space. And understanding whether or not if they're going to be there, what kind of content and what kind of like um, community could they build by kind of setting up and running bubbles with them or setting up and sponsoring the Bubbl Village or parts of the Bubbl Village. um, we we are, to explain that a little bit better, we kind of have we're kind of working on this
Oh, this is
model
great.
here where yeah, we're working on this model where this is kind of like where it starts, right? So can there be a world where there is either a community or a brand that runs housing? Okay, so you get to connect with the community and your brand over days, not minutes. And this is what we've done. So this is kind of one concept that I think it'd be really cool to work with your agency and your brands, and the idea that
It's
it
like
could be, actually we
to
have it
me
back
digital
here,
in real life.
it could be digital in real life. So the idea that the Bubbl Village could have multiple sponsors, and there'll be multiple activations within those Bubbl Villages, because within those Bubbl Villages, which is the housing component, different houses, it could be branded houses with, you could have an influencer and then some of their fans interacting and being part of Art Basel and following them and what they're doing at Art Basel, with placement, of course. You could have multiple houses. You could have an influencer and 50 people in that community if it was any brand that was going to Art Basel, including media brands. I mean, media brands could run these villages, and we've got the software that does it.
I
The club idea is
I
about the
even
in-game
think
home base. Yeah, sorry.
I even think about like a
Go ahead.
world where there's a live stream, whether a live stream of like whether a collection or a live
Mm.
show, right? That then the Bubbl Village, the attendees can see, but also you can connect to the brands as like a lead gen. People can sign up to see it, right? Like there's different ways that you can definitely integrate that with the
Yes.
village. If I'm doing that,
Yeah.
right?
So you can basically, so say if you're not there, the people who are not there can still participate and then be notified of the next one if the brand's holding the next one.
Yep. I mean, you could use as lead
Our
gen to
software
other
already kind
brands
of does
too.
that. Right. So see where it says Bubbl
I'm so
Villages.
excited.
These are actually houses within villages, but these could be villages. Yeah, like I think it's gonna be really interesting, the brands that want to be involved in this, the brands that understand authenticity of community and this hybrid approach of like taking your influencers, and maybe combining them with micro influencers. That'll be super interesting, I think, because I've heard that micro influencers are actually as good as working with the really big ones from an ROI perspective. um,
Well,
of course,
I've
like these
definitely
are
seen
events like
like
South
photo
by.
shoots that Yeah, I've seen photo shoots that people spend tens of thousands of dollars on. I don't want to say flunk, but like get totally just surpassed. And then a back end, because we run ads, right? 100,000 views at fractions of
Yep.
a cent from somebody that came into the actual store. And really, if you look at experiential marketing, like the core of it is being able to experience the product or something new and different. So it makes sense to
Yes.
me that like now influencers that
Yes.
worked 5 years ago don't work as well. Well, okay, that's why it's now maybe tried and true and it has to change. But I do think that the industry needs to get back to something that, like, how do you measure success? I like that this has an in real life component because to me, that's a lot stronger than just, oh, they clicked. That's becoming like a very shallow and expensive metric for brands to optimize for.
I went to we went to the NFL draft. Actually, it's where I broke my finger
Oh,
in a
wow.
flag football game, and it's really bothering me. The broken finger is coming off next week. But suffice to say, at the NFL draft, I saw in person like fandom, like majorly fandom. And what I saw was, and this is like, I think it's classic, right? So get this. So I'm at the thing, and I'm at the park, and there was all these like brand activations. I was actually at Mark Harrison's conference all about sponsorship because I was wanting to learn, like, and all the brand activations, they were all held at the football ground. Okay.
No
Um,
way.
it was really crowded and busy. Yeah, it was really crowded, really busy,
It's
really,
the
dare I
Steelers?
say, like we say, no, it was NFL draft. So all the NFL people are there, like all the different
Okay,
fans of all
nice.
the different NFL teams. It was where they do the draft. But the point is, and we actually say it we say it here in our thing, like, I think we have this thing here, like, look at this, like there was, like, it was really like this. It felt like this when we were at the football stadium where all the activations were. It felt like this, like the brands were all shouting above
Totally.
each other to get attention and as many numbers, right? It was exactly this type of idea. And if anyone's ever been to CES, that's exactly what it actually looks like,
Oh
including
my
the number
gosh,
of men
yeah.
and ratio of men to women. And NFL draft wasn't much different. But then, like, so it's
Hmm.
really funny because I was sitting there knowing what I know about what we're doing. And I was like, okay, what's really interesting is that we can actually give brands meaningful connection with their audiences and content creation opportunities from that over days, not minutes. So and they're scalable. They're infinitely scalable. Like your brand community for the so next year for the NFL draft, we plan on supporting the NFL draft and having NFL bubbles for all the different teams, or Bubbl Villages for all the different
That'd be great.
affiliations, like teams. And brands that
Yes.
sponsor those teams, or their fan clubs, or want to reach them, could actually participate and sponsor their village. Why not? Then what they could do is over days, not minutes, they could have what we call activation opportunities. So they could have ambassador meet and greets, they could have side events, they could have shared rides from the airport, or just
And
swag room drop, or
and you
just
said there's
let's
feedback
yeah, and they
because
could do it with hotel.
that feedback loop I think is really important right now.
Yeah.
Like that's like a very hot topic in marketing. So customer
Yes.
appreciation feedback, like
So
if
when
people
I
actually use it, yeah.
yes. Well, I'll tell you what,
Good.
when I was at the conference for Fest Forum recently, Chase Bank, and I say Chase Sapphire, they were talking about those bubble, like those lounges they hold at the events, and they were
Yeah.
saying one of the biggest objectives for them is customer feedback, like qualitative feedback, which actually surprised me a lot. But it didn't surprise me. It was like it's almost like social listening, but in person, and I was quite frankly shocked to hear that. But I guess sentiment, I know as actually the founder of Bubbl and what I'm building, some of my taglines and some of the things I'm really working on actually come from genuine feedback we get qualitatively from customers. So over hours, not minutes. And there was something the other day that I'm just trying to remember what it was, where I was like, okay, that quote came. Oh yeah, people you want to know. Actually, that was it. The customer said, I'm going to go into a Bubbl because I want to meet people I want to know. And that was like the people I want to know, right? Very kind of
Yes.
intentional. And so, yes, customer feedback is kind of like very much, customers may not tell you what they might tell you after being in a Bubbl for a couple of days with your community, right? So it's more like it's giving you an opportunity to get what I would call real authentic insight out of your customers, and activation. So the NFL draft will be really interesting, and then of course we offer, like, we're working with, and hopefully we'll do this with you, like, the the Bubbl experience works whether it's a hotel block or actually people
I
actually
want the
co-staying
yeah, I
in
want the
hotels,
yacht.
or whether
I want to
yeah.
share a boat.
I want the yacht too.
I want to share a yacht.
Also, what we could do is, yeah, well, there's so many yachts. We've got connections down there. There's so many yachts for Art Basel, where we
I
could
know.
hold like these bubble club things, and people could even stay on the yachts, or they could stay in the adjacent hotel. But the clubhouse. I'm going through too many things. Could be the yacht. Could be the yacht, and I think that'll be a really interesting
Yes,
thing to
very
talk
cool.
to some of our brands about. But equally, there are yachts that people can stay on too, and that can become like almost like a bubble flotilla, a flotilla, if that makes sense, in the harbor, for those very very high end customers that you really want to kind of like those luxury brands that really want to offer their. I mean, no one's offering lodging on yachts as far as I know down at Art Basel. Maybe they are, and no one's offering kind of those
They
kind of
should start.
experiences. Yeah, like, huh?
And
Yeah,
it's vetted,
yeah, we
right?
should
Like that's the
start
other thing. I
it.
like that it was vetted because I feel like it feels safer to me to some extent, especially if I'm sharing a room or having that control. Like not only are they here, but like
Mm.
they belong to this community. I think that's something as a woman that we have to be cognizant of.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So like I was going to say, what's your vision for like where you think you might like to take your brands in their journey on or off bubble? You know what I mean? Like, where do you think you'd like to take them, and what do you think you'd like to see differently? And how can we help? You know, how can
Mm.
how can that help? How can we help?
I think too, like narrowing down on targeting the segment for each, like whether it's a brand that has different product SKUs, they're launching a new product, right? I think that across the board I
Mm-hmm.
used to be able to run ads that were just very I wouldn't say one size fits all, but like very just one cohesive brand. And now for brands to excel, I feel like they need to have almost like one face with six different angles, because to last, you're going to need
Yep.
several audiences if you actually want to keep growing, because it's just so expensive to keep your core audience right now. Like even like if I think of myself, some of my favorite
Mm-hmm.
brands right now, who am I going to actually do? Go buy the expensive skincare or do the Sephora sample? Like we're constantly, especially consumer products, digital or not, in person, just getting hit, and there's more and more competition. So I love the idea of doing something really
Mm-hmm.
segmented, not only for an event, but let's say that you are at the Bubbl
Mm-hmm.
Village, you're doing luxury for, I don't know, New Yorkers from in Art Basel, right? Or like really honing in on what the audience looks like, whether that's the tech people who are there, whether that's only founders, whether that's only, I don't know, females in fashion. And I like that you can segment in that way, because to
Mm-hmm.
me, that's like what brands are missing. It's not just, oh, we're all at Art Basel. We need to go a layer deeper than that now to connect with consumers. And people are like, how? That a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people know that they need to
Yeah.
improve, but they don't know where. This gives you a way to measure it. I really like that. It gives you a member out of box benefit. So if like you have valuable members, it's really easy for me to bring to a brand and say, I can guarantee you
Mm.
exposure to these people. Whereas when you're running an ad
Mm-hmm.
audience, or even, oh, hey, guess what? Jay-Z was at the Knicks game. Okay, cool. But like, how do we monetize on the fact that we sponsored, I don't know, Pepsi Cola next to him, right? There's just so many intricacies now that I feel like are really lost. Lost on consumers, one, and two, brands don't know how to grapple with fast enough. Because since last Art Basel, look at AI,
Mm.
look at how many different experiences and competitors they may
Yes.
even have. That this gives you like
Right.
an in real
Right.
life,
Yeah.
like out of box almost method to reach consumers, but also to know who's going
Right.
there, how they participated. That level of control is really unique to me. That's what I think it really attracted me to doing something with you at Art Basel.
Mm. Interesting. So anyway, and the other thing I think for us with Bubble, with what we're building, we want to support
And it's an
that
app.
once a person, well, once what isn't that, but once a person's been in a bubble, we say you are the product of all of your bubbles, literally in life, pre bubble and off bubble. So for example, you know, where you went to college, that's a bubble. You're in that bubble while you're at college, right? And where you work is a bubble, and your family's a bubble. But going to Art Basel 2026 is a bubble, right? And we like to have that in your we have that in your profile. We
So
have the bubble
clever.
experience on platform, the bubble community that you were in that time. You can like literally go back. I was asked yesterday from an ex-bubbler, like, oh, you know, oh, I want to talk to this person. I said, well, it's in your app. Just go back into your bubble, into the bubble, and you can reach out to them right there. That's where they are. and it was just kind of like an aha moment, like, oh, that's right. Like I just go back into my bubble. It's like my bubble history. It's like it's recorded right there. And obviously for a brand that could be very meaningful, especially if the audience, so if the group is still engaging when they're in that bubble after your brand, after the event went and it was attributed to your brand, that was your branded bubble. Can you imagine the affiliation and the fact that you could even still keep offering and talking to that community? I mean, I think that's really powerful. Like knowing that
I mean, well,
I
then it
know that
becomes a
person,
different
I want them to see
channel.
again at that thing. Yeah, it
Yeah,
becomes a
it
different
becomes a
channel,
different
and
channel
that's
at
why,
that
like,
point.
we're leaning
Yeah,
into like, yeah, and we're leaning into the next version of Bubble to like really, really lean into that. But I mean, I'm super excited. Whoops, sorry, wrong thing. Wait, there.
you good.
Yes, okay, sorry, I'm in the right
I'm
place.
super excited.
I'm
I
super
know, and I need
excited,
to see you in New
Lexi.
York.
Yeah, I got to get to New York. We're doing some really exciting, fun things in New York with a soon to be announced, bank in New York. We're going to be doing some stuff in the Hamptons that is going to be very, very fun and a real prelude into kind of this idea of having our having create these like co-stay experiences for customers and for brands to engage kind of authentically. I mean, I've never been to the Hamptons. I know I need to go, so hopefully we'll
That's
be there
another
soon
place
and
that
I'll see
like
you
you
in
need help.
person.
Yes, and you need help
Uh,
sifting through people there
yes.
as well as stays. But
Yes.
yeah, you could be in very long lines if you're with the wrong
Yes.
people. I'm still not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
I've
me
heard
though.
about that. I've heard about that. Yeah. So Lexi, well, thank you so much. Like I really truly say that it's going to be incredible working with you on Art Basel, and some of the brands that were already really interested, the lifestyle, fashion, even some of the CPG, some of the like modernized lifestyle brands. I think nowadays most brands have realized that they have to be more lifestyle, health and longevity and wellness. That's just so enormous
Yes,
now. Is so important, especially for Gen
and
Z and
I mean, if you
arguably for
think of
Gen
it,
X as we get older.
people are honestly like paying
Yeah.
people to promote and just to sample their products.
Yeah.
I mean, something really random the other
Yes.
day. What was it? I got a I ordered from DoorDash, which I do more often than I'd like to admit, and they gave me a sample of like spicy mayonnaise. Even DoorDash gives me free samples on. I was
Mm,
like, wow, which might be a testament to how much I
yeah.
order from there. But also, like, brands are so
Uh,
Hellman's, huge brand, so desperate for people to try their
so much
Chipotle
looking for
mayo that they're just giving
distribution.
it away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're getting paid to try something. There's several apps here that do that. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, at this
Mm,
point, what actually works, if you can get real content from actual people
yeah.
who like enjoy Bubble and you do this right, like
Yeah.
I will be happy to know you when you're a
Yeah.
unicorn.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Lexi.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Haley.
much. We really appreciate it, and I really look forward to us hanging out again in New York when I get over there soon. Thank
Yes,
you.
we'll get some brands together. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you.